As President Biden's poll numbers dip into the 30s, the left is struggling to advance any semblance of their agenda on Capitol Hill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is looking to change the Senate's filibuster rules to advance sweeping changes to the way that we vote in this country. Voting reform is now the left's top priority. Here to discuss that and much more, we're privileged to have Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. Senator, welcome back to America Right Now. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Tom. Thank you so much. Very important topics.
So here's what Chuck Schumer had to say, Senator, back in 2005 about the filibuster. Take a listen.
They want, because they can't get their way on every judge, to change the rules in midstream, to wash away 200 years of history. They want to make this country into a banana republic, where if you don't get your way, you change the rules. Are we going to let them? No! It'll be a doomsday for democracy.
Well, Senator, now he says he's ready to blow it up, in part to advance election reforms that will usurp state election laws. Taking over their elections is their top priority. How do you respond?
Senator Schumer and then Senator Biden were very ardent supporters of the Senate filibuster. It's amazing that now they are in power, they don't see the need to maintain the traditions of the Senate. The Senate is there for cooler heads to prevail and to stop knee-jerk reaction on pieces of legislation that come from the radical fringes. And it forces compromise. It protects the minority party. And that's why we need to maintain this, because the radical agenda that the Democrats want to push right now, as you mentioned, elections takeover by the federal government. They want statehood for D.C. and for Puerto Rico. There's so many radical things that they have on their plate. And the only way that they can accomplish that is by getting rid of the Senate filibuster.
Senator, some Republicans have indicated that they are open to reform of the Electoral Count Act that would protect the process of the presidential election from congressional interference. What's your position on that?
Well, it depends on what those changes are, and that is a federal government responsibility. But what Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are proposing is to take over our election systems from the top all the way down. If you think federal agencies do a good job managing their dollars and their rules and regulations, then maybe this is for you. But I tend to believe, as a former commissioner of elections at the local level, that our local elections officials, our state elections officials, are much better at administering fair and balanced elections. Our federal government, we don't need bureaucrats taking over local elections.
And of course, Senator Ernst, there's this little thing called the Constitution that that will have something to say about what they're trying to do, given how dramatic the changes would be. It seems, Senator, that the Democrats are trying to leverage the January 6th anniversary to try and enforce these election reforms. Right. But they may also use the COVID surge to try and bring back or resurrect this Build Back Better welfare expansion bill again. I'm sure that you've spoken to Senator Manchin and some of the other more moderate senators. Where do you see the state of play on both of these efforts in terms of whether or not they advance at this point?
Right. And with the Build Back Better, what we like to call the reckless tax and spend bill, I don't see that coming back unless they attempt to do it in much smaller pieces. But even then, there are concerns about what the Democrats would do to the tax code and putting that burden on middle Americans, our middle wage earners. So I don't know that it will have the opportunity to come back. But again, the Democrats aren't going to quit. They are going to keep forcing the radical agenda out there. And that's not what everyday Americans, that's not what our Iowans want to see. So again, we need cooler heads to prevail in the United States Senate. Focus on what is constitutionally granted to the federal government and let the states determine what is best for them.
Real quick, Senator, there are some of your colleagues in the Republican conference who are talking about potentially supporting another stimulus stimulus package. Economists are warning about that. That might not be the smartest thing to do for the economy. What is your position? And those talks are nascent. I admit that. But what is your position on another stimulus bill because of the COVID surge?
We have spent trillions of dollars on this nation's recovery. And what I would like to see is let's just get our economy up and going. Let's open up our society. Let's allow people to go back to work. Let's encourage vaccines where we can, but not mandate them. So we are on the road to recovery, as long as we allow that recovery. And for heaven's sakes, you know, I am really concerned about waste and abuse in our federal government. And I'd certainly love a clear accounting on how all of the dollars have been spent so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, we have shoveled trillions of dollars of taxpayer money out the door. Let's figure out where that money went.
And a lot of it hasn't even been spent yet, and we know at least $100 billion of it went to China and Russia due to fraud. I want to talk, I've just got about 60 seconds with you, Senator. I want to talk about something that's very close to my heart, and I know yours as well since you're a combat veteran. You were recently just part of the effort to pass through Congress the establishment of a Global War on Terrorism memorial for the National Mall. Talk to us a little bit about that effort.
Yes, thank you, Tom. It is near and dear to my heart. And we have now signed into law the Global War on Terrorism Memorial Location Act, which will allow the Memorial Foundation to find a site with the National Park Service on our national mall. This will honor all of those who gave selfless service and sacrifice during the Global War on Terror. And it will be located alongside so many of those other wonderful war memorials, allow healing to take place across the nation, and allow our veterans to be able to visit with others about their tremendous service in keeping our nation safe.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you did for that and for being with us here on America Right Now. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, the first female combat veteran to serve in the United States Senate. Thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.